Many of you know Halperin's rule of the 7-5, not the 6-7, as my son would want me to say, but of the 7-5. What's the rule of the 7-5? There are 5 months of the year where nothing happens. That would be June, July, August, and November, December. Nothing happens. And if you're doing what I'm doing, working on some business deals, you might think, well, we're really close to getting the deal done. Little hint to you. From Halloween through New Year's Day, and really the first Monday of January, the lawyers are all off, or they're slow walking. So you might get the deal done on the business side, but then when you hand the paper to the lawyers, it disappears into a black hole. That's my normal posture about most of the world. However, there's something about politics and government where stuff happens. The president's working on the Ukraine-Russia peace deal. Congress is grappling with health care. And there's so much going on with the 2028 presidential campaign on the Democratic side. It's crazy. And then, of course, as we've talked about all week, this MAGA on MAGA fights, they just continue apace. You got the Minnesota Somali American taxpayer ripoff. And then the president today wasn't supposed to have any public events. And then he talked about 17 different topics at the White House. So this is not a totally new format for us, but I think what we're mostly going to do tonight is we're going to bring in our guests, and we're just going to watch some movies together, some little video clips of the day, some really, really interesting stuff from the president, some interesting stuff from Karen Bass, Kevin Hassett, Peter Navarro, Trump, an Obama video, Erica Kirk and Barry Weiss's interview has been unveiled, at least a piece of it. So we'll do all that together. If you're here on the two-way platform, Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom called Donald Trump one of the most destructive people in my lifetime and denounced supplicants. I think we can all agree that we're not big fans of supplicants. Anyway, if you want to be in on the conversation and you're here on the platform, all you need to do is raise your hand. We're the opposite of Elvis here. We want a little bit more conversation. So if you're here and you'd like to get in, raise your hand. If you're watching on X or YouTube, don't put any smack in the chat. Again, I have to stay up. I'm contractually obligated to stay up and read every line of smack that's put in the chat before I go to bed. And I'm pretty tired. So please, no smack in the chat. Peace, love, and understanding should imbue everything that you do. And our guests, I'm going to bring them in now because I'm so excited that they're here. And we'll meet them. One of them you know because he's been here many times before. Brian Wolff worked on Capitol Hill and elsewhere for any number of Democrats. Brian, unmute, welcome in. Remind people what state you hail from and who you've worked for in your career in big name politics.
I hail from the great state of Arkansas. Came to Washington like a lot of other Arkansans did. A lot of your friends, Mark, actually hailed from Arkansas and moved to Washington for the Bill Clinton's presidency. So, and most of us, a good number of us, as you know, Mark, just stayed around. Yeah. So I worked in the Senate, worked in the House, and worked politically for the House Democrats.
Yeah. My guest on Next Up tomorrow, Brian, is the 47th governor of Arkansas, the Honorable Sarah Huckabee Sanders. So stay tuned for that. We're going to talk a lot about Arkansas. And Brian, grateful to you being here. Our other guest tonight, never been here before, and he hails from a pretty politically important state and from a political family that I'm very fascinated by. There's a lot going on with the Ricketts. Todd Ricketts, couldn't be happier to have you here. Amongst other things, Todd Ricketts, former finance chair of the RNC, co-owner of a baseball team that plays in America's second finest baseball facility, Wrigley Field, right after Fenway. It's a distant second, but it is second. And a clear second, I should make it clear. Distant second, but clear second. And the founder of something called Freespoke, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. Todd, welcome in. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I'm happy to be here, and we can fill this hour with a discussion about Fenway and Wrigley and the finer points of both, if we want to do that too.
We could do a whole hour on. Unfortunately, in the end, you'd come up short, but we could do it. Do you live in Illinois now?
I do. I always have.
Yeah. The neighborhood around Wrigley, is anything new? Have they built anything new? More sushi joints?
We've done a big development around Wrigley. I mean, we could talk about that for an hour also.
Okay.
We bought a lot of the land around Wrigley after we bought the team and kind of developed that into having more of an activity district that we can utilize on more than just game days.
Yeah. To establish my credibility, I will say that the neighborhood around Wrigley is 15 times better than the neighborhood around Fenway. The neighborhood around Fenway is crap. It just is. I mean, but the neighborhood around Wrigley is like It's like all of the best of America in one place. It's incredible. And I will tell you, I once went to a White Sox game. I know that's sacrilege, and I sat in the owner's box, and they brought in a cart of desserts. It was the most incredible thing I'd seen in my life. So I don't know if you got a cart of desserts at Wrigley.
If you come to Wrigley, we can get a cart of desserts. And
Okay.
I go to a White Sox game every year too, so I think that's okay.
All right. Before we get into the news, I wanted to ask you, Todd, about Freespoke. Tell us what it is and why you created it and how people could use it.
So I got to tell you, years ago, I would use kind of the regular search engines that you would see, Google being the most predominant one, and I would find like the results I get just didn't kind of match with what I expected. And as you dig deeper a little bit, what you find is that there's an agenda inside of Google, and they're not trying to like just give you all the information and you come to your own conclusion. They try to lead you to a decision or a thought on a lot of these different topics. And over the course of time, we discovered that some of that is just incidental, being a California left-leaning sort of company, and some of it is really intentional, like working with the UN to suppress information on climate change that goes against the status quo. And so we built Freespoke to be really, really middle of the road. We try to highlight information from every source so people can kind of bring everything together and educate themselves and come to their own conclusions. And in the meantime, AI has kind of come to life. And so we've layered on our very just the facts, ma'am, sort of AI modeling on top of that searches that, so you can really see both sides of every issue anytime you put in a search.
And is it a for-profit business?
It is, yeah, it definitely is. We have a B2C aspect where we it's like to consumers, and you can go there and do your searches. And some of the things we do that are a little bit unique are we search a lot of podcasts. So we find that people are getting their information from podcasts today. So we crawl and transcribe those podcasts and make them searchable. And everything we do is private. We have we're not selling your information to anybody. And the third thing that I think is kind of like interesting is that we don't service any pornography. And so we wanted to show that there's a lot of pornography out there, and it's hard to control what your kids see. Yeah. And so we felt like we don't need to be part of that business.
I will say there are a lot of people, a lot of conservatives who have looked at various products in the tech space and said, that's biased. We're going to build something not necessarily conservative, but something that's fair. I only learned you were on a few hours ago, but I've been playing around with it. It's a really interesting product. I recommend all of you go to it and play around with it at least to see. There's just something about the search results that will feel different to you, and depending on what you search, pretty interesting. I'm going to ask you guys, here's a quiz. I went on ChatGPT because I was toggling back and forth between Google, Freespoke, and ChatGPT, and I was comparing how they answered things. So here's my exchange with ChatGPT. You guys are going to guess the answer. I said, of the last 6 presidents, who was the best? And I said, I don't want any explanation, just a name. And my pal at ChatGPT said, I can't choose a best president because that's a subjective judgment. That depends on your criteria: economy, foreign policy, leadership style, etc. If you tell me the criteria you want to use, I can give you a name based strictly on that. I said, who did the most to make the lives of the American people the most improved? Richer, healthier, safer. And much to my surprise, it gave me a single name. Brian, who did ChatGPT say? Last 6 presidents.
I'm going to go with George Bush.
George Bush. Okay. Mr. Ricketts, who did they say?
I don't know. Let's see. I got to count backwards. How many is 6? I don't know. I'm gonna take a flyer and say Donald Trump because you're leading us down to an unexpected answer.
The answer it gave me was Bill Clinton. And what's interesting about that is not only is it the correct answer, in my opinion, but Bill Clinton, that was his definition. He would always say, that's what makes a good president. Who's done the most to improve the real lives of real people? Anyway, I thought it was interesting because I thought ChatGPT would fight with me for 2 hours, even as I clarified the definition.
That's usually what it does.
Yeah, but it didn't in this case. It just gave me the name. It just said Bill Clinton, shortest answer I've ever gotten. All right, gentlemen, a quick word from a sponsor, then we're going to run through the news, and you guys can, again, as we say in south side of Chicago, kibitz with me along and tell me what you think. And we'll start with a word from our friends at Cozy Earth, cozyearth.com. It's still, but it's running out, 40% off all the products on the website. Just use the promo code two-way. Give the gift of luxury. Affordable right now, the bamboo sheets. Better sleep, the bubble cuddle blanket. Live yourself in luxury with the bubble cuddle blanket. Keep it away from your dog because you'll never get it back. Dogs love the bubble cuddle blanket. I don't know why exactly. The pants are, of course, epic. Once again, I'll tell you, you can wear the pants anywhere. You can wear them to the beach. You can wear them to a cocktail party. If you're someone who goes to cocktail parties, I don't know anybody like that. Wear them anywhere. They're super comfortable. You can sleep in them because I've done that too. Go to CozyEarth.com right now. Use the promo code 2WAY to get 40% off. This is ending soon. I can't tell you exactly when it's ending, in 2 days. So go right now, 40% off, CozyEarth.com. Give the gift of comfort that lasts beyond the holidays, carries you well into the new year in a cozy fashion. Again, CozyEarth.com, promo code 2WAY. Thank you for your attention to that matter. All right, gentlemen, let's start with the big semi-breaking news. The U.S., Donald Trump has been talking about Venezuela and threatening the Venezuelans. Here's a headline from the Washington Post, Kevin, number one, please. Late today, or at some point today, the U.S. seized an oil tanker. This seems like an act of war to some, as part of an overall mission that seems pretty provocative to many, some and many. U.S. seizes, the Washington Post headline, U.S. seizes very large oil tanker off the Venezuelan coast. Trump says the seizure was a significant escalation in the U.S. pressure campaign against Venezuelan President Maduro and his country's oil-dependent economy. Now, a lot of controversy over the video of the second tap and whether that could be released. And the Secretary of War says we got to review it and go through it. This video, apparently no such review required. Here's Pam Bondi tweeted this out. This is number two. This is the dramatic video of the seizure. Take a look. No audio on this thing, so I can talk over it. For those of you listening to the podcast, you're seeing American helicopters hovering over the ship and U.S. forces landing on the deck. And, they're not like Somali pirates because they represent the red, white, and blue, but they're seizing somebody else's property. And they've got their guns out, and it's kind of an incredible thing. Here's the president talking just a little while ago about the seizure. This is, go ahead and play 3 and 4 back to back.
News. As you probably know, we've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, large tanker, very large. Largest one ever seized, actually. And other things are happening, so you'll be seeing that later, and you'll be talking about that later with some other people.
In the seizure of this tanker, what happens to the oil on that ship?
Well, we keep it, I guess.
Where does it go? What port does it go to?
Well, you have to follow the tanker. You know, you're a good newsman. Just follow the tanker.
Do you know where it was going? Was it going
Follow
to
it.
China?
Get a helicopter and follow the tanker.
Is it true it's going to
But we're
Cuba?
gonna. I assume we're gonna keep the oil.
Todd Ricketts, I don't remember Congress passing an act of war against Venezuela, and I don't remember in reading in my in elementary school in the civics books, if the American president says go seize someone else's tanker, that's fine. What's going on here?
You know, I wish I knew more. I think we're all a little bit in the dark at this point as to like what the logic was for taking this, and but yeah, I think that we'll have to wait till a few more details come out to explain like what the logic was behind that.
Yeah. Okay.
So
let me ask you a question, and then Brian.
Yeah.
Let's say Barack Obama was president, and you saw in the news that Barack Obama had seized an oil tanker belonging to another country. Would you be equally, pacific about let's wait for the facts, or might that inspire you a
Yeah, I
little
think so.
bit?
I've always been a fair-minded person. And I think like if you go back and look at Barack Obama's presidency, there was a lot of things that he did along those lines, whether it be in Syria or other places around the world that were, about defending Americans' interests and the safety of Americans. And so I've never really, I didn't complain about Barack Obama doing things like that back then, and I'm not going to complain about Trump today.
Fair enough. Brian, you're a relatively young man, but in your lifetime, do you remember the United States doing this? Has this ever?
No,
ever
I mean,
happened?
I understand, and I think people are really attuned to their thoughts and feelings and positions about drugs coming into the United States, for example. But that's a very different thing. And now we tend to have gone in a different direction here, and actually a tanker that's coming from Venezuela, which would probably be a customary route that they would take to Cuba, since we know that Cuba imports from Venezuela. So I'm not quite sure if this is distraction politics, Mark. This is really, let's pay attention to Venezuela while we're ignoring, the economy and affordability here in the United States, going into an election year. It just seems that way to me. I mean, we've always had these sort of, and I will say this in Democratic administrations too, we've had these ploys of distraction. They're not uncommon. And you heard on an earlier talk show today talk of the fact that there might be a ground invasion in Venezuela. And I'm just a little bit unsure, like, what's the purpose here? You kind of get the drug thing coming to this country on drug boats, but you lost me and you're losing me on the rest of this.
Yeah. But Todd, again, I'm not trying to be argumentative. I'm
Yeah.
just a little bit baffled by the thing. If American helicopters and planes landed in Venezuela and seized an oil processing facility, would that be any different?
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose if you're landing on Venezuela proper, I mean,
Yeah.
you can get into this debate over like what was this ship as actually part of Venezuela or
Yeah.
whatever that means. But I think like until we have just a little bit more information, because like all we really know right now is the tanker was seized, and there was no explanation. As far as I've seen, there's no explanation, no details, no. We did this because of. I haven't even seen anybody from the administration trying to
Yeah.
explain it.
Well, I mean, the president's gleeful about it, right? We know that, and we know that the ostensible co-equal branch doesn't seem interested in doing anything about it. Again, I'm not saying I'm opposed to it, and again, Todd, I applaud your caution about let's wait for more information. But I don't remember the United States seizing somebody else's ship like this in my whole career. It's just unprecedented, and it's the American military doing this. What if one of them had been killed? I don't know. It just seems extra legal to me. Because under what authority is the president ordering the military to seize the property of another country? I just don't know. It seems extraordinary.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would just come back to that. Like, there must be some logic that we don't know.
Yeah.
And then when that logic comes out, then we can decide if it was a good idea or a bad idea.
Yeah.
But I think until we get that next little bit of information, it's hard to say one way or another.
Yeah. Okay. Fair
But
enough.
stay
Okay.
on Freespoke, you can kind of follow it, and we'll follow it and say, like, you just type in tanker seized over time,
Yeah.
that response will evolve as well.
I did that search about an hour ago, and again, I don't have my arms around it completely, but it gives you interesting results that are make you feel different than a Google search. And again, it's not stealing your data, so that alone should make you feel pretty good. Okay, the Fed cut interest rates again today. Here's the headline, number 10. The Fed was divided. Not everybody wanted to do it, and of course, this is in the context of all sorts of things. The Supreme Court's hearing a case about whether the president can fire people on the Fed. There's the headline. This is from CNBC. Divided Fed approves third rate cut this year, sees slower pace ahead. And the Fed's trying to balance inflation with growth. And here's what the president said, even in the wake of getting what he wanted from the Fed about his least favorite Fed chair of all time, appointed by Donald Trump himself,
Yeah.
but he doesn't like him. Here he is, number 11, the president talking at the White House today about Chairman Powell.
So the market should go up, and we should keep driving it up and have it keep going up and let it be much, much bigger, much, much better. And, growth doesn't mean inflation. They're always afraid that, and if there is inflation, that's okay, then we can slow it down. But we should be able to do a lot better than 3 and 4. We're scheduled to be at 4%, which is pretty amazing because we have a deadhead Fed hair. I mean, this guy, the head of the Federal Reserve is a stiff. And, you fight that. It's amazing. We fight that, and yet interest rates are going down, except with him, not too much. He did a rather small number that could have been doubled, at least doubled. And that's the other thing. I think the rates for the United States are always the lowest in the world, because without us, there is no world. Without this economy, there's no world. You could go to some of these wonderful countries that you think are so great. Well, one of the reasons they're great is
I've seen enough, as they say. Brian, I want to ask you both the same question about the economy, because it continues to confound me. I don't want your answers. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. I don't want your answers to include any of the following: inflation, AI, consumer spending, or the stock market. Okay? What's most encouraging to you about the American economy right now, and what most worries you about the American economy right now? Again, I don't want to hear inflation's what worries you the most, and I don't want to hear what you're most encouraged by is AI, the stock market, or consumer spending. One of each. What worries you, what's encouraging to you?
I think what worries me is that, you politicize, uh, the president's politicized things like affordability, calling it a Democratic hoax. That really worries me. Especially going into an election year. We know that people talk about and vote on kitchen table issues. That's what consumers want to see. And by the way, affordability is, like we were talking about earlier, is subjective. An elected official telling you what's affordable or that something is affordable to you or the economy right now is affordable that's the hoax right there, is because that's not what people are currently suffering from.
What's
Go
most
ahead.
encouraging you about the economy now,
I
Brian?
think things that are most encouraging to me is, and quite frankly, I don't think the Fed today, if you go back and look at the notes I did today, I went back and looked very quickly to the September notes, and he said some of the same things. So he said some of the same things about warning that there might not be another cut
But Brian,
before the end of the
I'm sorry,
year.
just
And
again,
so I'm a little bit.
what's encouraging you in the economy right now?
I think that it's actually stronger than we think,
But
and
what
I think
sector,
that
what area is stronger? Just the overall growth rate?
I think the overall growth rate, the resiliency of the American people right
Yeah,
now, they with tariffs and everything else that they have on their backs, I
yeah,
think they're showing that they're still spending.
yeah.
They know that the federal interest rates are not tied to auto loans or home loans, but still they're out there spending. And I think that that's the reason why you don't see runaway inflation. It's coming down.
Okay.
So I'm encouraged by that.
All right. Todd Ricketts, what's most encouraging to you about the economy? What's most worrisome to you?
Yeah, I think actually we're in a pretty good spot right now, and I'm not going to point to anything really specific, but I think we're on a track for pretty good growth. I appreciate that the Fed chair has been slow to lower rates. I kind of grew up in finance and financial services, and always have this opinion that you should be quick to raise rates and slow to lower them, and you always want to have like a little bit of a cushion. The president is a real estate guy, so the best interest rate to a real estate guy is always zero. But to someone in the world of finance, like I think that 3 to 4% rate at the Fed is actually a good one. You want to always balance. I know you said don't say inflation, but you got to balance inflation and jobs. But you always want to have that little cushion. So if you do have a crisis and you need to dramatically lower rates to kind of like goose the economy, you have that lever. So I feel like Powell's doing a fine job. I think we're in a good spot right now. I think lowering was the right thing, and I think earlier in the year he did the right thing not doing anything. But as Brian said, every time Powell talks, he says we're lowering rates, but we're never going to do it again.
Right.
And he kind of has the same talking points every time he does it. But I'm encouraged. I think we're going to have a strong year in 26 from an economic point of view. There's going to be a little bit of a readjustment as these trade deals come together, as to whether or not are these tariffs going to remain in place, or are we going to come up with a trade deal that brings some manufacturing onshore, and how quickly can that do that, and how quickly can that happen? And like the thing that I'm most discouraged about, and this isn't new, this is something that we should always be obsessing about, is that I feel like in the media and in on the news that we worry about like the Elon Musk and the rich people in our society, like the 0.0001 percenters. We shouldn't worry about those people at all. They're fine. They're getting rich. It doesn't matter. What we should always be obsessing about is the bottom 50%, because if you look at our economy, I think, don't quote me on these stats, but they're roundaboutish. The 10% wealthiest people in this country own 80% of the publicly traded stocks. And the next 40% own the other 20%. And everybody below the 50th percentile in household income doesn't have any exposure to the stock market.
Right.
And if you don't have exposure to the stock market and you have a little bit of inflation, you're getting crushed. If you have exposure to the stock market generally tracks well ahead of that. So you're doing fine. So we as a society and as a country should always be obsessing about where the bottom 50% are. Are they getting ahead? Is their quality of life improving? Can they afford a house with a 2-income household if they're making less than $100,000? That should be the focus of everything we talk about all the time, because I feel like a lot of the other issues you hear, whether when you see protests in the streets or Black Lives Matter or whatever these things are, that is an expression of frustration coming out of that bottom 50%. And so if we don't focus on the bottom 50%, we're going to have a lot more issues that are going to come out of that really are going to be driven by people's frustration about their inability to get ahead.
Well said, and I'll just say the Ricketts family has contributed a lot in this country in a lot of different ways, but to have that point of view is something, when I've talked to other members of your family, that's really admirable to frame things that way, so thank you for that. All right, raise your hand if you want to get in the conversation, because I'm going to play now for our guests 3 Donald Trump sound bites. Again, he talked up a blue streak today at the White House. He went from the profound to the ridiculous. We'll start with the profound, continue to not understand where we're headed with Ukraine and Russia, but the president continues to talk more negatively about Zelensky than he does about Putin, and he did that again today when asked where things stand. Here's number 17, please.
And I do say, you know, at what point, when do they have an election in Ukraine? That's not casting dispersions on anybody, but they do have a massive corruption situation going on there. And they do say, you know, when are they, people are asking this question, when do they have an election? Are they going to have an election? Or are they going to just keep it going like this? So I think it's time to get that war settled. And I think it's a war that can be settled. But it takes two to tango.
Brian, are you bearish or bullish on a deal by the end of the year?
Oh, I'm bearish. I really think that, you know, with actually the bill that's in front of Congress tonight, you know, sends money this next year and in 27 to Ukraine. You know, I think that there's a lot of work to do with regards to Ukraine, but I don't know about the 20-point plan that Ukraine's going to submit. I certainly think it's going to be a long way from what Russia wants and what this president wants.
Todd, bearish or bullish on the deal?
I'm a little bearish. I think Zelensky's holding out for something that's probably not going to happen. And I feel like there's going to be no deal that doesn't include Ukraine giving up some land. That's just my own personal view. You know, like Russia's in a tough spot. Russia can't give. Zelensky can't give. So I don't think that there's anything that's going to happen anytime soon.
Okay. The battle for Warner Brothers, it's a very complicated battle, and remember, this is going to play out over months. It's not something going to be settled this year and be going into next year. Netflix only wants to buy the streaming services, the studio, the catalog of entertainment shows, and David, what's his name?
Ellison.
Thank you. David Ellison wants to buy the whole thing, including the cable channels that include CNN. The president's more familiar with this. He's playing possum on this. He knows exactly what's going on. Today, he said something a little bit confusing. He said, whoever gets it, they got to sell CNN or they got to have new management at CNN. It's a little confusing. But here's the president of the United States channeling his best Charlie Gasparino, talking about the deal. Number 19, please.
People that have run CNN into the ground, by the way, nobody watches, very few people watch. I don't think they should be entrusted with running CNN any longer. So I think any deal should be guaranteed and certain that CNN is part of it, or sold separately. But I don't think the people that are running that company right now and running CNN, which is a very dishonest
do you guys think he's
people,
reading?
I don't think that should be allowed to continue. I think CNN should be sold along with everything else.
He normally doesn't use notes, but I don't remember him looking down that way. And I have to say, the president has completely changed just as invading, seizing a ship. It's extraordinary for the president of the United States to say CNN should be sold. I don't know why it's even any of his business as the president, but this is the president who wanted Jimmy Kimmel to be fired.
I think this is more the president just wanting to be able to take over mainstream media, and do it one at a time. And I think that CNN is something he's always wanted to diminish, and he'll have it under his control if that's what comes as a part of the deal. And I think that's what he really wants. And when he was looking down like that, Mark, he was asleep.
No, he wasn't asleep. He's wide awake. It's his favorite topic. But he did.
Just for the record, I've spent a ton of time with the president, and one of the amazing things he does is like he can go from his notes to ad-libbing, back to his notes to ad-libbing, back to his notes. He's actually pretty good at that.
Yeah, he is. I agree with you. But But again, well, play it again. Don't play the audio.
Yeah.
Just play it again. Again, I've seen the president in these situations 100 times, as all of you have. Normally, when he's talking about something like CNN, he wouldn't have anything prepared, and he'd be able to talk about it without any notes. But look at him here. He's like looking down. I just don't recognize that unless he's the lawyers have given him something to read. You guys see what I'm talking about? He's like looking down.
I think he definitely got queued up for that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but it's
how to-
unusual.
Yeah.
It's unusual because normally CNN is something he could talk about in his sleep. Yes, that was a purposeful joke, Brian. Get it? Talk about it in his sleep. Okay. Here's another thing he talked about today, and this is a Washington parlor game, but it's kind of interesting. Pete Hegseth and Kristi Noem and Kash Patel have all been the victims, I'll say, of leaks, not from the deep state, but from Trump allies who want them gone for a variety of reasons. And there have been stories in some publications, normally left-wing publications, saying they're gone. They're going to be fired. The president's going to get rid of them. And some people I know have said, yeah, this time it's for real. 1 or 2 or 3 of them are going. Here's the job security giver in chief saying about at least 2 of the 3 of them, they're not going anywhere. Number 15, please.
Fire this one, or you're going to get rid of that one. Of all your cabinet members, who would you perceive as the most under attack?
Well, I think my cabinet's fantastic. I read the same stories that I'm unhappy with this one or that one, and I'm not. I think the cabinet's done a great job. I read a story that I was unhappy with Pete because he was attacking drug dealers. I said, that's not exactly right. I would say very much the opposite. Pete Hegseth has been phenomenal. I read a story recently, I'm unhappy with Kristi. I'm so happy with it. I mean, we have a closed border. We have a border that's the best border in the history of our country. Why would I be unhappy? She's fantastic, actually. No, we have a fantastic cabinet, really fantastic cabinet. I mean, Lutnick I'll have to think about. No, can't have everything. Can't have everything.
Todd, after watching that, you
Well,
got to say neither of those
Howard's
people are
done-
going to be fired anytime soon, right?
I don't think so. In fact, having been around the president a lot over the last, 8 or 9 years, I think the first time that he won in 2016, he was a little surprised himself. And really, he was listening to like the DC insiders who were already there as part of the Republican Party. And I think he ended up getting a cabinet of people that were already there that he wasn't necessarily happy with. This time around, he had 4 years to think about it. And he came back with a very specific plan and a very specific type of person he wanted in all these jobs. And those would all be people, to say it this way, it would be like, I would say in the first administration, the president was the only person out there, carrying the torch or carrying the banner for him. And the cabinet members were very quiet. This time around, he's recruited a bunch of people who are willing to get into the media, to be aggressive with the media and carry that banner with him to take some of the stress off of doing it. And I think he's picked people who are really well suited for those jobs. So I don't think anybody's going anywhere anytime soon, just the way that I see them perform.
Yeah. Brian, if you were an advisor to either Noem or Hegseth, what would you tell them how they should interpret the president's remarks?
Oh, I think they're all safe as long as they want to be safe, right?
Yeah.
I think both of them have eyes on other things, just as the vice president does. And, I think that's what they're all looking forward to. I don't think anyone's worried right now. I think they all think they're doing a great job, just like the president said. So, I think the rest of that's hearsay, and that does come, Mark, from what you were talking about, this sort of the Republican, that disruption out there right now that's going on, and people that want to take each other down. Because, power is something that they really want. And I think people are positioning themselves as a topic for tonight, which is 2028. And I think a lot of people are looking at that. And what am I going to be doing, in almost 2 short years?
Yeah. 2028, I'm going to talk about tomorrow on Next Up. And I've done a ton of reporting with Democrats about who actually has a good chance to be the nominee. We'll talk about that in a minute. But there's some video that just came in. This is Jake Tapper with Chuck Schumer asking him, back to our first topic, if he supports regime change in Venezuela. And the senator, spoiler alert, he says, humana, humana, humana. Here's Chuck Schumer with Jake Tapper.
Do you disagree with President Trump's ultimate goal of regime change in Venezuela?
Look, the bottom line is President Trump throws out so many different things in so many different ways. You don't even know what the heck he's talking about. Obviously, if Maduro would just flee on his own, everyone would like that. but we don't know what the heck he's up to when he talks about that. So it's very, very, you cannot say, I endorse this, I endorse that, when Trump is all over the lot, not very specific, and very worrisome at how far he might escalate.
Okay, here's more from Pam Bondi and from CBS News about this operation of seizing the tanker. Pam Bondi, Attorney General. Today, the FBI, Homeland Security Investigations, and the Coast Guard, with support from the Department of War, executed a seizure warrant for a crude oil tanker used to transport sanctioned oil from Venezuela and Iran. For multiple years, the oil tanker has been sanctioned by the United States due to its involvement in an illicit oil shipping network supporting foreign terrorist organizations. This seizure, completed off the coast of Venezuela, was conducted safely and securely, and our investigation alongside the Department of Homeland Security to prevent the transport of sanctioned oil continues. And here's what CBS News says. The helicopters used in the seizure had launched from the USS Gerald Ford. The boarding team was comprised of Coast Guard Maritime Security and Response Team, an elite maritime interdiction unit based on the East Coast in Chesapeake, Virginia. The tanker is called the Skipper and had left port in Venezuela and was seized off the Venezuelan coast. And Kash Patel also tweeted and said that this tanker was headed for Iran. Is that what he said? Let's see. I'm not sure he says that. He says, but he's tweeting about it too, and they're all tweeting this incredible video. Probably taken by a drone. We'll see. All right, one more piece of video I want to show you, and then we're going to go to your questions. So please raise your hand if you want to get in on the conversation. Governor Pritzker hasn't stepped up his activity very visibly, but Governor Shapiro has, and Kamala Harris has, and Kamala Harris announced today she's doing some travel to some states, not New Hampshire, but she's going to South Carolina and Georgia as part of her book tour. And here's Gavin Newsom, an interview with the New York Times. Number 9, please.
I think Trump is one of the most destructive presidents and human beings in my lifetime. I think this republic is at real risk, this country being unrecognizable. And I have no patience for people that want to indulge it. I can't stand the crony capitalism. I can't stand all these supplicants that are sitting there bending the knee to this president. I can't stand the universities that have done that, the law firms that have done that, the individual corporate leaders that have done that, the other governors, maybe Democrats and Republicans that have been complicit at this moment. This guy is reckless. He's wrecked this country. We'll not have a fair and free election if we don't continue to fight. That's what matters to me, seriously. I'm the future ex-governor, and who the hell knows what happens the rest of my life, except one thing I know that matters in the rest of my life is I have to look at my kids in the goddamn eye. I mean that, seriously. That's not like a politician thing, to look them in the eye and say that not a peril of being judged, not to have lived in the moment.
All right, I don't read the chat, but I glance at it, and the person who just put in the chat that the interview is better than I said it was this morning on the morning meeting, where I said it was boring and wonky. It is better. The part I listened to was boring and wonky, but there are more reports, including like that one, so I recommend it to you. So thank you for saying that in the chat. Brian first, on Gavin Newsom. Spoiler alert, because I already told Michael Smerconish this morning. I'm doing the top 8 in order, and I have Gavin Newsom number 1, most likely Democratic nominee. How are you feeling about him as a strong general election candidate, Brian, right now for your party?
I would put Gavin and probably Josh Shapiro way out front. Both of them equally strong. I think that Gavin is putting off vibes, just so you know, Mark. He's kind of putting off 1992 vibes, that changey type thing. And he's really kind of kind of making those points and building that record. He's kind of already tacking very strongly to the middle, and really trying to get out of a lot of the social issues and really making sure he's focused on the things the American people care about. And I think he's managing right now to right the ship from a governor from California, like California.
Yeah. Todd, again, just in the context of becoming the party nominee, and I know it's not your party, but you're governor. I'm being lobbied heavily by my sources to include him in the top 8. I'm not inclined to, but I'm being lobbied heavily to. He's on the bubble, as we say, during NCAA men's basketball period. Tell me this, just in the context of being the Democratic nominee, not the general election, is your governor underrated, overrated, or rated just about right by the sort of conventional wisdom?
I would say it's probably rated just about right. I mean, obviously he has to win re-election here as governor, which it's not it's not going to be crazy for him to win again. But one of the things the reason he has to run again, and the reason that I think he's running again, is that he cannot have a new governor of Illinois in office while he's running for president, because whoever it is, Republican or Democrat, the next governor of Illinois is going to be throwing J.B. Pritzker under the bus for the financial mess he's left the state. When a couple of years ago, our budget was $35 billion. This year, it's $55 billion. Like, the numbers are insane of the debt that he's racking up on the state. So he's going to have to run and win that governorship again so he can run for president, just so he doesn't have anybody backstabbing him here in Illinois. Having said that, he has a lot of money. He's going to be able to self-fund a lot, and I think he's definitely going to be in the running. But I disagree with Brian a little bit. I think Whitmer is really, I mean, she may not be ahead in the polls right now, but I think she's a little bit that sleeper, middle of the road candidate who has the chance to become the nominee. And if I had to handicap it today, I'd put it on her.
Okay, I don't think she's going to run, which is why I don't rate her high, because you gotta
Well,
play.
Todd, I was wrong, Todd. I was actually wrong. I actually should have said Gretchen Whitmer too up there, and I would put Andy Bashir at a close, somewhere close. We've got to have someone that is reasonable, that is a Democrat, that is out there, talking like real people, and Andy Bashir does that. So I was wrong. Leave out Gretchen Whitmer.
Okay.
That's a good point.
You guys are going to hate my 8 for 28 list because I'm not ranking some of your people high. Mark Warner makes a good point to Semaphore at a panel just now, responding to the seizure of the ship. He says, if we can interdict a vessel of this size, why can't we interdict some of these drug boats? Like, why are we blowing up these drug boats? Why don't we just take them the way they took the tanker? Good question. I don't know the answer. All right. If you want to get in on the conversation, please raise your hand. We'll get to you in just a moment. Quick word from a sponsor, and then we'll go to you. Raise your hand if you want in. It's the time of year for me and for many others where your skin needs some extra care. Dryness inside and other things give people need to feel a little better. And there's a Science First product available from our sponsor, OneSkin. Go to oneskin.com/two-way. OS1 is a product for your help you with wrinkles, help you with your face, your eyes, your body, provide a lot of sensitive skin to make it better and healing. Right now you can get their limited edition holiday sets, including the Nightly Rewind gift set, featuring their best-selling face moisturizer, new peptide LIP mask, and a cooling tool designed to renew skin at the cellular level. Limited time only. Get OS1 15% off. Use the code two-way, oneskin.co/two-way. And when you make the purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about it. Please show support for this program by saying you heard about them on Two-Way tonight. All right, here we go. Come on in. After you unmute, David, tell folks where you are and what's on your mind for Arkansas's Brian Wolff and the land of Lincoln's Todd Ricketts.
Yeah, hi. The problem that I have with the whole...
David, I'm sorry. First, tell people where you are.
Oh, I'm in Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Yes, sir.
And the problem I have with the Venezuela boats, I don't care. I really don't. And I think, Mark, you say this is somebody that speaks for tens of millions. I think I do. I don't care.
You don't care. You don't care if we blow up other countries' boats and kill people.
Absolutely.
Without a declaration.
No, they're bringing in poison.
Yeah. How do you know?
If they're doing,
how do you know?
And Mark, we actually had a congressman come across and say, "Well, you know what? It's only cocaine."
But David, how do you know? How do you know the circumstances of the people on the boat? Because the government tells you, right? You don't have any independent information. And again, I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying it should be discussed.
No.
I mean, how do you know there aren't little kids on the boat?
I don't care.
You don't care if there are little kids on the boat?
I do not. And the reason I don't care is because I'm a supporter of Israel. And those people put little kids in harm's way and didn't give a crap about it. So I think that we tie our hands so much that we don't know how to fight a war anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
Last one we fought was
Yeah.
was World War II.
Yes, sir. Todd, thoughts on David's perspective?
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. If you like think about the idea that we have been trying to intercede with these boats for 30 years now, 40 years. How long has it been since we've declared the war on drugs? So we have been trying these old tactics for a long time. And if you say like these boats are coming across, and we've been trying to interdict these boats for a long time, and that hasn't been successful, and 50,000 people died of fentanyl last year, I think there's a good case to be made for like, these people are there to do harm to American citizens, and whatever it takes to keep Americans safe is what you do.
Yeah, Brian.
And the other thing that I get tired of, Mark, is we have our values. We have people that came over here and stole at least $1 billion.
Yeah.
Maybe 8 billion.
Yeah. Well, we don't know.
And
it's 8 billion,
and if we're going to talk
Yeah.
about values,
Yeah.
I think that they laugh at us.
Okay. Brian, thoughts on what David had said?
Well, I mean, David, I agree with you, but for the kind of the wrong reason. I go back to what I said in the very beginning about it, which is I think it's more of distraction politics. I really don't think that people care. I really don't think that American people care right now. The average American person that is going through what they're going through with the economy and everything else, I don't really think that to me, the Venezuela thing is a little bit more of a distraction. Again, I think there are other priorities, David. So I am kind of agreeing with you. It's just, it's not the priority that people think it is.
Yeah. David, thank you. Grateful to you.
Well, Brian, can I weigh in there for a second though? I've just, as a parent with like college age kids, forget about everything else that you worry about as a parent. Illegal drugs coming into our country is a huge one for me. And whether this is cocaine or fentanyl or whatever it is, one of my biggest concerns is like if this stuff gets to the streets and gets to a party that one of my kids is at, you don't even have to be taking it. You can touch this stuff, and it's deadly. So as a parent with like kids in that vulnerable age group, I just want to keep every illegal drug that we can off the streets is where I want to be.
Todd, I don't think though that you on one day that you can blow up a drug boat, but on the previous day you pardoned someone that had smuggled a ton of drugs into this country and was known to be a massive cartel drug dealer. So to me, the Democrats going into 2026 are going to have a lot of sound bites that they've gathered, from this president and his cabinet to be able to talk about this stuff out of their mouths. So it's going to be something that they're going to repeat. It's going to be something they have on soundbite.
Yeah, the pardon is still pretty unexplained. Croft, welcome in. Tell folks who don't know where you are what's on your mind.
I'm Mark. I'm in Calgary, Alberta. And I was just curious about Brian's comment about Gavin Newsom, because I know Trump is who he is and whether he was efficient or not efficient or capable or bankrupt or whatever. And you look at all the various politicians, but then I think of the Democrats presenting Gavin Newsom as their candidate, and I think of California deficits that have grown by leaps and bounds into billions and billions, forestry management that led to 6,000, and water management that led to 6,000 homes being burned. $900 theft is okay, and they let that, he doesn't veto that as it goes through the legislature. The high-speed rail that they haven't laid how many billions, 13, 15 billion they spent on that. There's the mile of track that's working.
Yeah. Croft,
Immigration
you're making it sound worse than Illinois.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So we don't have any high-speed rail.
Is your question, how could the Democrats be turning to a guy?
How can the Democrats be turning to
Gavin
as their standard bearer?
Yeah, great
Yeah,
question.
I don't think that there is any elected official, and to your point, Mark, that doesn't have a record, right? You're going to have a record whether you're running for it. He's going to have to be able to defend those things. I will say, California is the fourth largest economy. Say what you want to about it economically. I'm sitting here in California right now. I can tell you it's not so bad. So, I just think that there's a possibility if you look at some of the past elections we've had. I quoted 1992 earlier. It's putting off those type of vibes for me because, I think he is saying a lot of the things that are relatable to the American people. And I don't think he's really bogged down in social issues. I think he's really focusing on kitchen table issues for the American people. And I think that's why he's really rising above there. I don't think that we're going to be, I'd love to be on the show tomorrow night, Mark, because I really want to talk about some of these people that really just do not have a chance in
Yeah.
28, like you said.
We'll see.
But I think Gavin Newsom does.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, stay tuned. His profile, Mark, is a little bit different than it was a year
No
ago.
question.
So pay attention.
Croft, do you get American movies up there in Alberta?
We do get
You do
Netflix.
get them, right? So maybe you've seen the movie Some Like It Hot. Last line of the classic film Some Like It Hot, where Jack Lemmon reveals that he's a man, and the line is, "Well, nobody's perfect," because he's been in drag the whole movie, and the guy thought he was going away with the woman. It turns out it's a man. My point is, every year, particularly when there's a weak field, right? There's no George W. Bush 2000. When there's a weak field, and this is a very weak field, I could tell you, I could disqualify every Democrat, every one. I could tell you, here's the reasons they can't possibly be the nominee. Because nobody's perfect. Does Gavin Newsom have a lot of downside? He absolutely does, Croft. But he's the governor of the fourth largest economy in the world. He's a good talker, and he's taken the fight. He's taken the fight to Donald Trump. And I will tell you, and I've said this before, and I always take heat when I do. He is way smarter and way more principled and way more sophisticated than his critics give him credit for. So and I said this before too. My grandfather, 5'8", back in the village in Eastern Europe, tallest man in the village. Why? Because everybody else in the village was shorter than 5'8". Gavin Newsom is an aircraft carrier. He has a huge fundraising list. He understands media. He's the strongest candidate. You can list all his negatives, Croft, and your everything you said is factual or arguably true. But that doesn't matter because there are no perfect candidates in this race. Not one.
So I appreciate what you're saying, and I think it's an unfortunate thing for both Canada and for the United States that the quality of the politicians we get in the leadership, whether it's Trump with all of his faults, and he's got lots of things that he's willing to stand up to the media and do all sorts of things that are changing the direction of the politics. But the fact that they're, like if Warren Buffett had been the Treasury Secretary the last 40 years, what would the United States be like? But people like that don't want to be in politics because of the way they get attacked. Yeah. So you end up with people like Newsom and Trump.
We'd have more Dairy Queens if Warren Buffett were Treasury Secretary.
And McDonald's and Fritos.
Yeah. Croft, thank you. Quick word from a sponsor, and back to your questions. Chef IQ. Brian, do you have a good turkey on Thanksgiving?
Absolutely.
Todd, good turkey?
Amazing.
Yeah, amazing. Nothing better than a good turkey and maybe a Christmas ham. If you want to cook those things but not have to spend the entire day right by the stove, right by the oven, go to chefiq.com, use the promo code 2way. Get their new Chef IQ Sense, the wireless cooking thermometer. You put it in any piece of protein, go to the app, tell it what's going on, and it will tell you when to turn it over, when to take it out, how long to let it sit. It's a little witchcrafty. I mean, I can't tell you exactly how it works, but it will make you cook stuff perfectly and make it easier to do. So if you want to buy it for yourself, buy it for people on your list. Anyone who loves to cook or is learning to cook, this thing makes it easy. Get all your shopping done. Make the holiday the best yet by going to Chef IQ's Black Friday sale, 30% off. ChefIQ.com, promo code 2way. Again, ChefIQ.com, promo code 2way. I want to show you guys one more piece of tape. This Erica Kirk, she did a bunch of interviews on Fox, but she also did an interview with Barry Weiss that's airing this weekend. And she's been very firm and passionate about all these people, some of whom used to be her husband's friends, who are just floating these crazy conspiracy theories. And she says, in effect, I can handle it, but it's a big burden on the team at Turning Point. So here's Barry Weiss and Erica Kirk talking about all these conspiracy theories about her husband and his death.
Come after me, call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want.
This is from Fox. We have the Barry Weiss one.
Whatever.
One of the most alarming things about Charlie's murder was the way that some people in this country reacted to it.
Yeah.
And not just online. This was an idea that you encountered a lot. And the idea was this. They kind of justified it. They basically said, that because Charlie said or believed things that they believed were controversial or even hateful, that he somehow had it coming. What do you say to people who justified his death?
You're sick. He's a human being. You think he deserved that? Tell that to my 3-year-old daughter. Excuse me. You want to watch in high res the video of my husband being murdered and laugh and say he deserves it? There's something very sick in your soul, and I pray that God saves you. I pray, because that is what is so wrong. The internet in this world has dehumanized us.
Okay, I set up the clip wrong. I apologize. There are two issues, right? There's people on the left who celebrated his death, and then there's people mostly on the right who have conspiracy theories, and she spoke about that, I believe, in both on Fox and there. Todd, thoughts on how the reaction has been to Charlie's death? It wasn't that long ago, and what it says about our society.
Well, I would just say that, first of all, Charlie was a friend, and Erica and Charlie were actually at Wrigley. We went to a Cubs game just a couple weeks before he was murdered. So it's a little bit close to home on this topic. But anybody who celebrates the murder or the killing of anyone who is expressing ideas and actually encouraging the debate on college campuses. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting, I always felt like Charlie made even liberal college kids better because he forced them to articulate their views in a way that sounded coherent and could make sense to the other side, on the conservative side. And so for anybody to say that he was hateful or was like, you know, whatever it is you might say or celebrate his death, it doesn't make any sense. He was just a great orator, and he encouraged people to think and be able to articulate. And everybody that had the opportunity to interact with him, they were better for it. And our country was better when he was around.
Thank you for that. Brian.
Yeah, I think I would agree with Todd. I think that, you know, it just goes to the toxicity in our politics today. And I agree with Erica in what she said with, you know, the way that we're able to anonymize ourselves, you know, in this online, you know, world and social media and everything, and to be so destructive and to have the extremes, quite frankly, of either party, you know, saying extreme things. And calling for extreme things. I just think there should be no place in politics for that, particularly where it involves violence.
Yeah, what a remarkable person Erica has proven to be in the strength she's shown throughout this. It's just stunning. Okay, one more quick word, and we'll finish up. This is from the folks at CB Distillery. Go to cbdistillery.com. Promo code 2way, 25% off everything. If you're around the holidays, you're looking for a little pain relief, a little help relaxing, here's an opportunity to buy presents for others or for yourself, made with premium quality, clean ingredients, no fillers or anything artificial. They've sold to over 2 million customers. cbdistillery.com. It's a gift you can feel good about giving. Give it to yourself. Give it to others. Everyone on your list. Better sleep, less stress, and pain relief with CBD from CB Distillery. Again, go to cbdistillery.com right now. Use the promo code 2way, and they'll give you an extraordinary 25% off. cbdistillery.com. Promo code 2way. Not all products available in all places. Depends on where you live, but go to cbdistillery.com. Promo code 2way. They'll tell you what's available. Todd, couldn't it be more grateful to you for making time. I hope you'll come back. Tell everybody again about Freespoke and why people should give it a try.
Really, because Freespoke was designed in the, they're just kind of riffing off Charlie Kirk, is this idea of this open debate of ideas and showing people all sides, letting people inform themselves and come to their own conclusions. And really, that's what we've done with our search engine, and where you can plug in any topic, get both sides, the pros and cons from either way, and whatever people are saying about it, and really, you know, inform yourself and come to your own conclusions.
Yeah. Again, folks, give it a try because it's really interesting, and to be able to do a search and not and know that you're not going to sell your data. It's quite something. It's a
Yeah.
great experience. So
Yeah, Mark,
give it
I
a chance.
tried it. I tried it since we've been on here. And actually, Todd is actually right because it does. It's the first search engine that actually does pull up podcast references and everything.
Yeah.
Where I was able to go to that fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna use it a lot more because I think it'll be interesting to see something that really doesn't guide what we're trying to see and look at today.
Yeah.
And if you can I'd love to get your feedback too, Brian.
Yeah. Todd, do we use it as a verb? Do we say, let me Freespoke that?
Yeah, that's right. We got to get it into the vernacular.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Grateful to you both for being here. Right now, turn over to Bridget Fettisy's channel. Watch Bridget. Her show tonight, Real America, is available to you right now for free here streaming. Real America with Bridget Fettisy right now. I'll be back 9 a.m. tomorrow Eastern time for the morning meeting with two great co-hosts, guest co-hosts with me, and we'll have all the overnight news and preview the news of the day. Grateful to Brian, grateful to Todd, and grateful to all you for being part of the two-way community. Have a good evening, and I'll see you at 9 a.m. Go watch Bridget.